Hello and welcome back to Oldhammer and Tongs. I thought I would give you all a break from my Road Trader Imperial Guard army today and have a look at an absolutely brilliant White Dwarf. So this is White Dwarf 95. This is from, I think, November 1987. Let's have a quick look. Yes, November 1987. And it is an absolute classic. Look at this artwork for a start. This is the cover artwork from 3rd edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle. And there's also this, a flexi disc inside. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in because there's quite a lot to get through here. And I'm likely to get sidetracked by all of the awesomeness. So here we go. Inside cover already sidetracked. Warhammer City, A Guide to Middenheim. So this is a supplement to Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and I thought it sounded so intriguing. I immediately looked it up on eBay and got one in very good condition for not very much money. So I will be making a separate video about that because it's absolutely cracking. But yeah, here we go. There's all sorts of wonderful things inside to enjoy. So let's just throw ourselves in. So there's more about Warhammer City, the Guide to Middenheim. That is just a guide for games masters, and it's such a good idea because it just is basically all scene setting and lore. Now here we have all sorts of exciting things. So Thrud, who was a comic character of the time who featured heavily in White Dwarf, was illustrated by look at this, they had a special Thrud day. So Carl Critchlow, who illustrated Thrud, was doing a tour of Games Workshop, appeared in Liverpool. There he is. He's wearing a sort of American Civil War kepi. I remember when I was a kid I thought it'd be cool to wear one of those as a hat, but he's going to pop up later on. Look at this, Ruglud's Armoured Orcs. Yeah, loads. Various bits about mail order. So like I say, I'm going to be a bit ruthless today because there are some important things to check here. Oh, Dogs of War, look at them. Look at these wonderful minis. They are just so beautiful, aren't they? I should add that I've made various videos about War Games Foundry. They don't produce any of these, certainly not at the moment, but they do produce some early Citadel that look very similar to those. So here is the actual Thrud comic strip. So we've just seen Carl earlier on drawing some of it live in Liverpool. This was it. So this is the sort of thing you used to get. It's White Dwarf was a kind of hobby magazine in all ways. So it had cool cartoons and the like. Here we've got some Chaos Beastmen. So if you had this is pre-Realm of Chaos, of course, but you could stock up in preparation. So this is really interesting. This is a scenario for 2000 AD when Games Workshop was licensed to produce it. So there's the judges. That's a big moment in the history of, there we are, look at that city block, Judge Dredd floor plans of both 2000 AD and Games Workshop. Again, our friends at Wargame Foundry do still produce some of those minis from the Judge Dredd days. Chaos Marauders, that's meant to be a great game. I think if you check out Jordan Sorcery, he's got some really nice videos about that. Elven personalities, look at these, mounted elves. They've got such good names, haven't they? I am Milambar, Iceblade. Citadel accessories, they were really expanding at that point. Now, this is a brilliant feature. This is all about Warhammer Fantasy Battle 3rd edition. So, 1st edition, as we know, were rules pulled together by Rick Priestley, with Bryan Ansell contributing, and Richard Hallowell, largely illustrated by John Blanche and Tony Ackland. Then 2nd edition was basically a kind of neatening up of 1st edition, adding more context and lore. But then 3rd edition was when it began to turn into more of the game that we probably recognise now. I think I did see an interview of Rick Priestley where he reckoned that sort of 3rd and 4th edition were probably his favourites. And this is when it really did turn into that kind of epic battle game, moving probably away a bit from the role play background of that 1st edition. Look at this artwork, that funny Siamese twin goblin being helmed in half. But look at this diorama is just absolutely brilliant. I love it. This is a kind of a hill fortress held by the dwarves. They're perfect for this, aren't they? Back against the walls. Good luck moving them on. That is Ulthar's Imperial Dwarfs. I got them. That's my 2nd ever Games Workshop purchase. Still got them. And it looks like the green hordes are approaching them here, the orcs and the goblins. They're sworn enemies. That is just brilliant, isn't it? So many gorgeous models and brilliantly painted. Look at them. just man for man, everyone telling a story. That really is glorious. And then here we've got wood elves fighting undead. Got some lovely illustrations there. There's just so much love. Look at this battle here. This is the other view of that wood elves undead battle. Look at this. That dragon taking out a few skellies. You've got that undo catapult. I've always loved that. Looks like someone had the skeleton box set there with some plastic chariots and the like. Absolutely brilliant. Did that actually come out by now? Someone shout out in the comments if I got my timeline wrong. And then we jump here to 40k products. So 40k, of course, released this very year in 87. So this is all brand spanking new. There's the rule book. There's the classic Space Marines plastic box set. I'll make a separate video about them. Orc Raiders. I've got a load of them. I love them. These mercenaries are just superb. They really are. Bob Naismith and the Perry twins. Some of these are seminal. That Iron Bonds the squat, the first ever mention of a squat. He's just brilliant, isn't he? That didn't really look like that after that, but he's just awesome. They've sort of come full circle. It's a bit more like that in 40k today with the Leagues of Votan. But there's a number here I'm dragging into my Imperial Guard army. I've got Kyla, Condotti, Mad Morris. They're all joining up. Fast Star John, he's definitely in. And I've got some others who I really hope to use, as mercenaries in the future, like World Burner and Plunderino Pete. There's some absolutely superb models there. Glorious age. Now, look at these brilliant dreadnoughts as well. That's when dreadnoughts were dreadnoughts. I love it. I'd love to get hold of one of them one day. Anyway, let's carry on. I've got to be ruthless because this feature here, the heavy metal feature, brought to you by Rick Priestley, which is quite unusual. Normally it was John Blanche or one of the other painters, but this is where Rick Priestley took it upon himself to build the famous Deodorant gravity tank. I mean, that is just so great, isn't it? Look at this. So this has been mimicked many times since, but this is the original. So that is the stick of deodorant. So maybe Old Spice or similar still comes in that shape. And then he's got these accessories. Look at that. A plastic spoon, double-ended spoon. Some little guns, possibly from a sci-fi toy. And you can see these steps. You can still see the instructions on the back of the deodorant still there. I mean, that spoon is so skillfully placed. I'm very impressed. But look at how that, you can use the turny thing on the deodorant to look like a jet engine. Genius. And then you go through the steps here and look, it does turn into this absolutely amazing sci-fi vehicle. Look at that. You'd never know any of these things were what they were before. That is just such brilliant improvisation and creativity. And look at it there, deploying with some early Space Marines as well. So that is really great. So I love it. And it looks like those are Dark Angels from when they had black armor. So that is just so brilliant. I love it. And something that has become so legendary. Here it is, just sort of casually spoken about by Rick Priestley, of all people. Who knew that he was such a creative model builder? And then on this following page, we have some more superb kit bashing. This is a sort of fighter bomber that's just been turned into an Imperial bomber with Space Marines in it. This, they actually show the original toy, the Zoids toy, that someone has built and then painted up to be a sort of Warhammer vehicle. That is immense. I mean, that's so good. Absolutely superb. Who is that? That's John Ellard. Great work, John Ellard. I don't know how you've achieved that tube effect, but in the spirit of improvisation, it could be from a vacuum cleaner for all we know. So yeah, that's just absolutely awesome. And then they throw in the rules for the grav tank. So your deodorant grav tank also has rules, which is just superb. What a glorious age of White Dwarf this really was. And then there's more great stuff. There's Orc Command Group. Look at that dwarf flame gun, and only £2.50. That was quite a loss at the time, but not quite as much as GW say about these days. So yeah, that was absolutely magnificent. But we are not finished. There's more joy to be had here. Oh, those skeletons I mentioned earlier. So it was a lead chariot. I stand corrected. That wasn't the plastic puck set. Still love that catapult though. Because this was around the time that Games Workshop was expanding into the world of, ooh, look at this, Chaos Hounds, Barbarians, into the world of music with Warhammer Records and various others, and Warhammer Rock. Here we go. So Avis Blanche, you see, was sort of working as a bit of A&R and getting involved with the music side of things as well. So this is Sabbat, the band who made this special flexi disc, which was released in this very White Dwarf. And here it is. look at that, it's still included, which I just think is so brilliant. So you would pop this out and put it on your record player, and you'd be able to hear that brilliant Sabbat track. Now, I don't want to take it out. I do have a record player. I've got, you know, a modest but well curated, I would say, vinyl collection. They do take up loads of space. They're very heavy, but I love playing records. There's just something incredibly satisfying about opening that beautiful cardboard case with all the artwork, then putting the record on, getting the needle down and listening to the rough and ready sound of vinyl. But I'm not going to take this out because I'm so pleased it's still attached to the original White Dwarf. And there's a whole feature here about Sabbat. They're a band who basically were sort of touring quite successfully at the time. Looked like they might be getting somewhere. Not quite sure what happened to them since. But anyway, I just think it's so good. So good that that was all happening within White Dwarf and within Games Workshop at the time. So yeah, here we go. This is the Illuminations feature where we look at special artwork. This is curated by John Blanche. And the man himself has picked a number of his artworks. Look at this. Look at this magical reinterpretation of the Mona Lisa. I mean, only John Blanche could do that and get away with it. He's just made it so brilliant. And then these characters, look at that. That is just sensational. Look at this. It really is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's just pure fantasy. And there we have the man himself, astride his Harley Davidson. A mere 33 years old at the time, very youthful. I love all of this. His favourite painting is The Battle of Issus by Albrecht Altwarner. His favourite art movements: Renaissance, Classical, Romantic, Victorian, Gothic, turn of century illustrators. Favourite films: Jabberwocky, That Looks Too Scary for Me, Legend and Blade Runner. His favourite record: Vinnie Vincent, Invasion. I need to listen to that. Favourite book: Ridley Walker by Russell Hoban. Favourite food: rice. Fair enough, love rice. Favourite pastime: riding free, converting miniatures. What a joy. Favourite drink: Nuki Steam. I need to drink some of that. An ambition: to have enough time to develop my own art mythos themes in inks, pencils and oils, and to eventually publish it in a book form. I mean, just what a brilliant little sort of very brief Q&A that was. Oh my god, this is a very, very, very good White Dwarf. And look, here's some more of his artwork. Classic, classic, classic. All of it is just absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, John Blanche. So yeah, here we go. And here's the letters page. I mean, there's a lot to say for White Dwarf in these days. Death Zone. So this is Blood Bowl. Glorious. And then at the end, we've got more about 2000 AD and Judge Dredd. So let's see if this works. But I'm going to play us a bit of Sabbat in the background. It might sound terrible because it's being played on a laptop and then through my phone, and I might get busted by YouTube and have the video taken down. But let's give it a shot. And you can hear that very track, Blood to the Blood God, which featured on White Dwarf 95. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Wisdom, love, and God-given right.